What is happening, traders? God bless each and every single one of you. Hope you're having a stand up freaking freaky Wednesday. Jumping into some big news on AMC, seeing the earnings call moved up to July 20th, aka my birthday. So hoping to do some live stream event for you guys, so we can listen in to the earnings call that's moved up, not just July 20th on a Monday, which should lead to some very exciting weekend conversation, but also to the AM in pre-market Central Standard Time, 7:30 and then 8:30 for Eastern Time as well. So in here, it just kind of describes what time it's going to be doing. So I should be able to live stream the actual call itself so we can listen in live, and I'll have that set up preemptively. But off of that move or announcement, right, there are very few times when the earnings call is moved forward if it's not something bullish. Almost always he as in Adam Aaron, or anyone for that matter that is a CEO, moves it forward when you want to announce bang up freaking earnings. And what you're starting to see, I believe, off of that news announcement is a pop in the price, right? A 6.65% 5-minute candle, which did leave a gap on the 5-minute chart. But inevitably, guys, you've kind of been flagging out since that announcement and making a tiny touch of bullish divergence on the 5-minute time frame, right? So higher lows but lower lows on the RSI. That's showing that price is holding up here, but if you lose this uptrend, it's likely that you come back and fill this gap, currently sitting at around 196, which is not the worst case scenario, guys, not at all. So beautiful start to the day. AMC above $2 is always a good thing. I want to cover a couple different things on the freaking chart. The first one, guys, being, regardless of this ugly candle, even though you're up 3.57%, you're starting to make a little bit of a shooting star candlestick because of the gap up in pre-market. And we'll have to see how this thing closes, right? Because if you see a nice bid going into power hour, you could easily get this thing upwards of a doji or potentially a spinning bullish top candle. But what's nice here is you've had 3 days of increasing volume. Hopefully, like we said, you close green, and that would only have to be 204, right? So you're literally a penny away from the open. And the biggest thing here, traders, is your golden freaking cross on the daily time frame. Finally seeing that beautiful technical indicator for the first time since 2021, guys. Now, I just want to zoom out for you guys so you can see not just the beautiful setup here, right? The higher highs and higher lows. And this thing, since it made a higher low here, should theoretically make a higher high. But this is the first time, traders, on the SMAs that you've seen a technical golden cross on the stock since all the way back, guys, in February 18th of 2021. That is absolutely significant. Why is that significant, right? So the SMAs give you lagging price, right? So that's the last 50 days of price in a lagging yellow line. And then the last 200 days averaged in price is that purple line. Typically, when you see these two things cross, right, you can see rejections from them like here. But when they cross, traders, they mean one thing, and that means that the stock is significantly short-term bullish. And typically, when you see this happen, you will see algorithms, you will see institutions, swing traders, day traders, all take eyes on the stock that it occurs, and you enter pretty much a new list, a new basket of stocks that can be traded. And that is because it is a significantly bullish indicator. So I would not be surprised in the least to see this act as support if you come back and test it right around 185 to 190, as well as a launch pad for the stock to make a higher high. Now, what's the bad scenario here, right? Because every scenario has a good and a bad, and you should be realistic and do your own due diligence. But there is the opportunity, if you cruise into 222 or 221 and reject there, that you can make this shoulder head, right? Shoulder formation, even if you rejected now, right? Not a great look. You do have a tiny touch of bearish divergence on the 4-hour chart, making a higher high on the stock, on the RSI, but a lower high on the stock price. Last time we saw this was GameStop, and you saw a little bit of a retracement, but I remain bullish in my convictions on AMC because this is just a smaller time frame and only one touch, right? You still have your technical profit target of this flag breakout of about 232, which would easily invalidate this touch of bearish divergence. So that's what we want to see on the short term for AMC. Get back above 222 on the freaking daily, right? Close above that and you are good. Gouda. Another bullish thing for AMC is you have the daily MACD on the stock curling up, right? And you're about to see a cross for the first time since all the way back here in May, guys. May was the last time you saw a daily MACD cross to the upside, which gave you 100% freaking gainer. And so that's what we're watching for here on the short-term time frame. If you can hold this momentum off of the good news, earnings comes back as potentially profitable, right? That's going to be a big discussion on AMC. Then you can see this thing start to snowball momentum, and you've already kind of seen it, not just in the volume here at the lows, right? Huge volume coming, but also the slowing in bearish volume, right? You saw a absolutely nothing burger of 24 million shares on low bearish volume. You want to see this candle close green because then that's an uptick in bearish volume here, potentially spotting a rejection. But we will have to wait and see, guys. Only time will tell. And one thing is for sure, I remain bullish, right? Looking at the weekly time frame, we talked about this multiple different times in our videos. If you guys have stayed the length, right? Stayed the full course, just make sure to slap the subscribe button and hit the like button. Of course. But if you guys have been here for a while, you know that we talk pretty religiously about the weekly RSI. Why is that? Because you can see big moves and big momentum come from a cross of this RSI band. I like to say, men lie, women lie, but the RSI does not lie. And you can see it in the price, right? The price and the volume tell the story here. You got to cross March 23rd. And from that was your bottom, right? You ran at 216%. We called it live on the channel. You've now seen a retrace and a bounce off of it, right? So if this holds in the weekly time frame, this is what gets me bullish. If you can hold these levels, would not be the end case scenario. And if you went into earnings like this, I would still remain significantly bullish because you're above the RSI band. You've bounced off of it. You've seen a potential Morningstar candlestick formation on the weekly time frame, guys. This is a bullish reversal candlestick formation. This right here is a 3-week in the making candlestick formation. So I am bullish going into earnings if you can hold this and see a nice pop, right? Because if AMC reports anything above the expectations and reports something that could be profitable, this thing will go absolutely ballistic. But above that, guys, we also have on the longer term time frame a potential test of this RSI band, guys, on the quarterly time frame. Because not only, guys, do you have that quarterly MACD cross, right? We've talked about it before. I tweeted about it last night, but you have a checkmate on AMC. You have the golden cross on the daily time frame, the 50 SMA through the 200. You have a quarterly cross on the MACD, right? We'll go back in time and show you that. This has been part of our thesis for a very long time now, and you're starting to see that play out. Above that, right, quarterly MACD cross, you are coming into what could be a very good momentum driver for AMC because this is the first time you've seen a bullish engulfing on the quarterly time frame and a cross of the RSI band on the quarterly time frame since back here. Right, this was a bullish engulfing and a cross of this potential RSI band on the quarterly time frame. So history does not repeat, but it does often rhyme. And this is looking almost nearly comparable to the risk on asset season that you saw back here in 2021 with a 3,854% gain, right? Beyond that, right, you have a technical falling wedge on the macro that could potentially give you these kinds of gains, right? Off of the breakout, you're talking a potential profit target of around 100 freaking schmeckles, guys. And this sounds outlandish until you look at the VRVP. What is the VRVP? That is the visible range volume profile. And that, traders, is what gives you what levels that this thing could move potentially very, very quickly at. Right, we'll delete that really quick. Give me the VRVP. And that's not what I want. That's not what I want. So this, traders, is what we call the VRVP. This actually shows you where the most volume has been traded on the stock within the entire history, because I'm on the 3-month chart. You can see a huge gap here, exactly where you see this humongous 381% candle, as well as this humongous 80% down candle. That is often where you see price move the fastest, because that's where you've seen the least amount of volume traded. That's why you see price swing 56%, then up 35%, then down 54%, then up 381%, because that's where you've seen the least amount of volume traded on the stock. And it's displayed here by the amount of liquidity that has been traded within this block of shares and within this bottoming of shares. So if you see price get above the very stubborn previous all-time low of about 1052, as well as above 752, this thing has a lot of freaking room to run. So that's why I say, if you can see some kind of fundamental short buster here that invalidates a thesis like that and get above these levels, the sky is the freaking limit. And the more you look at the daily time frame, the more you kind of contemplate all of these gaps that still have yet to be filled, right? You did the same thing here. Absolutely moonshot. And then on the way back down, you left very, very important technical landmarks for our potential long thesis, right? Look at all of those different gaps. Technically, one left still here. That's $13, $19, and 43 freaking schmeckles that we can mark as a potential landmark to revisit. But that is your absolute most bullish scenario for AMC as you remain within this technical falling wedge, guys. Not to take anything away from the short-term time frame that we remain very, very bullish on. Right? Let's see if there's anything more to cover here on Webull. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. We'll cover the morning star candle formation on the 4-hour chart, kind of just seeing some consolidation, nice volume on the 4-hour chart. Still not really seeing anything of substance off of this break up or break down. You do still have that touch of hidden bullish divergence. Let's jump into IWM, guys. Before we do that, just make sure to slap the subscribe button if you've enjoyed, stay the full length, and subscribe, because that'll help AMC and help push the algorithms to this channel. So IWM, seeing the largest quarterly candle up 21% since back in 2020, guys. Same thing, right? Risk on asset season is what you're starting to see painted on the picture here as you break this previous horizontal resistance. That's huge, right? You're coming into a marker on the weekly time frame that is $300, and you've seen some hesitation that is shown in the price here. Let's get rid of the VRVP. And let's just focus on the RSI as well as the freaking chart. So on the weekly time frame, you are kind of wedged up here in what is a little bit of a falling wedge. So we have not covered this yet, but we're starting to now. You have this very evident wedge that you are in on the daily time frame, closing a green doji here, and potentially, right, breaking out of this would take you upwards of 307 to 310, and finally above that stubborn resistance at 300. What I'm watching for here is on the daily time frame, you've actually retested your 50 line, showing bullish continuation is likely, in our opinion, at least for the short term. You've made a double bottom off of it just like you did here, and a spring off of it here. The one thing that I am cautious on, traders, on IWM is you've seen multiple touches of bearish div on the weekly time frame, and you've since lost the RSI band. Now you've held up pretty great, but there's still the opportunity here that you make one more higher high and one more touch of bearish div before you reject the RSI band and then really capitulate here on the shorter time or on the longer time frame back to the 50 line on the freaking weekly. Same way you did here during your more elongated macro swing down. During that, guys, we have multiple gaps on the daily time frame for IWM that I would say be cautious for, right? This one particularly, 253.48, is potentially a marker to revisit, as well as 265, I think is the more likely one here in play. So that is our coverage of IWM on the freaking macro time frame. We remain bullish. As we can see, IWM/SPY still performing great. Still performing great, guys. After that breakout of the falling wedge, seeing the biggest move up since 2020, guys, you're seeing risk on sentiment and behaviors come back to the market, and you rejected exactly where we thought you would. Now you're just making what I believe to be a higher low off of this previous resistance before you really begin to get crazy, right? Before you start to see small cap stocks outperform the overall blue chips, which is where we talk about AMC, GameStop, NEO, and all the exciting stuff like that. So until next time, guys, God bless each and every single one of you. And as always, traders, the best is yet to come. Make sure to slap the subscribe button, share the video, yada, yada, yada. Peace.